Hi, everyone. This is Mitch from PickDogs.com here live with Steve Monahan, who I guess we can start saying from PickDogs.com. We just got to get him some gear. Get him
Time for that T-shirt, I got to tell you.
We got to get him geared up. Maybe we should get Steve like the white T-shirt and I wear the black T-shirt, or I wear the white T-shirt. He wears the black T-shirt. Or, maybe we get a blue T-shirt. Who the hell cares? As long as it says Pick Dogs, it's okay with me.
Be my fashion, and
we're kind of like a Carolina blue or Seattle Seahawks blue is our colors.
I like Carolina blue. I think a little bit more.
Well, I think that the words are Carolina blue, but the background there, that circle, is more of a Seattle Seahawks blue.
Yeah.
I call it a steel blue. But hey, guys, everyone, going to give everyone a couple minutes. This is our college football preview show. It's week 9 of college football, if you can believe that. Season almost over. About a month left in college football, before the bowl season starts. Steve, just before we get started in college football, I know you're a baseball fan as well. So Max Scherzer gives up 2 runs in the first inning, right? On the road in Houston, crowd going wild.
Ballistic.
How about the guts on this guy? How about the guts on
Max Scherzer, first ballot Hall of Fame? How about that?
I mean, every pitch you could hear him screaming like a female tennis player, putting every muscle from the tip of his toe to
like
the top.
Monica Seles hitting the tennis racket.
This guy's. Balls are going into the dirt, and Kurt Suzuki. What a backstop he was last night. I'm not going to say Kurt Suzuki's like a Hall of Fame catcher. We're not going to say anything more than what he is. He's a journeyman. He kind of is he's a guy who probably will end up on the bench somewhere after his playing days are over. He's a student of the game. He's been, he's one of those guys. He can situationally hit. He's never going to be a 300 hitter. He's never going to be, the guy. But blocking those balls, and Scherzer is just like, on some of those throws, just like, I'm just going to throw this thing as hard as I possibly can. You can see his ears perking out like muscles on it. He's throwing the ball. I look at postseason efforts, and you could say, yeah, he gave up 2 runs, so it's not like, Roy Halladay's no-hitter or Don Larson's perfect game. It's not like anything like that. But I think Josh Beckett-like performance against the Yankees, maybe. I don't know.
It's a bulldog performance. It just goes resume, and I'm happy that he's in the World Series. He's a deserving pitcher to be on the big stage. I don't care he gave up 2 runs. The Nationals walk away with a victory, and he's going to sit back and you'll see him game 4. But to my earlier point, Cy Young in both leagues, this guy is just, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer right now.
To me, it was one of the most inspiring pitching performances I've seen. I just thought it was really, I just thought it was,
he's a first ballot Hall of Famer right now.
I just thought it was unbelievable,
And this kid Juan Soto, man, what a.
Yeah, we're going to get guys like that.
It's a baby, but. The kid is really stroking the ball, man.
He's playing well, but it's just, to me, it's tough to, we have guys like this in the World Series, that come up big, and that happens. But to me, a guy like Max Scherzer, who, Cy Young Award in the National League, Cy Young Award in the American League, and, All-Star Game starter, he's done pretty much everying. And here
perfect he is. Does he have a perfect game? He definitely has a no-hitter. I think he might have.
But I think he has a few no-hitters. But Max Scherzer a few years ago, 3 years ago, I would say, anytime before 2 or 3 years ago, I used to say this on my videos and on radio shows and things like this, that Max Scherzer is a guy that every time he steps on the mound, it's a potential no-hitter. Every single time. Because not only does he have the power, he also has everything else in the bag. He's got every shot in the bag.
So I'm a big fan of Max Scherzer. I don't know what else to say.
Boy, it's just it's
and you got another pitching gem coming up with Strasburg and Verlander.
Yep.
So this is about pitching this World Series right now. So
Well, 9 runs last night, so there's a little bit more than pitching going on.
I know, but going in, that's the scouting report. You got 4 aces going, basically. And Greinke's no joke either, and Corbin is a serviceable third starter. So we'll see how the chips fall.
I'm going to guess it's going to be Sanchez, but that's just me.
He pitched well in the previous
But anyways, let's get to some college football. Got Week 8 action. It's not the sexiest card on the planet. It's not the worst card that we've seen, that's for sure. And it's way better than last week's card, which I thought was one of the worst cards. Tomorrow night, we go to Houston. Dana Holgerson's taking over there. He's the head man for the Cougars. Tillman Fertitta gave him a lot of money. Lots and lots of money. He had that show on CNBC, The Billionaire Buyer. He's buying, right? Rockets. He's got
buying all of Houston, basically.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Ponies 7-0 this season, 6-1 against the number, 3-0 on the road. Houston, this is kind of their chance to make their season. They can get back to 500.
Yeah. I mean, the general public, I think it's 66% in favor of SMU. I've been waiting all year watching SMU. I haven't really taken them in previous weeks, but the fact of the matter is they're 7-0. Sonny Dykes is a Texas type of coach. Born in, he's my point being, he's a Southerner type of coach, and SMU's been playing good. Spread's 14. Dana Holgerson, like you said, is in his first year. He's still rebuilding down there, obviously. Doesn't really have his recruits there. I'll take SMU. They've been scoring points. I'll go with SMU here. I've been covering 14 points.
I'm gonna go with the total in this game. I'm gonna give out a premium pick in this one, so you'll be able to get my pick on this one in the premium area as far as the side goes. But the total, I like the over in this one. I think we just see a lot of up and down. I think when you have offenses like this, it's kind of like Oklahoma, where it's like the time of possession per drive isn't more than 2 or 3 minutes either way. So when you have teams that have a lot of possessions, you have a lot of scoring, not a lot of field goals, a lot of touchdowns. And, if one team can get out ahead, whichever one it is, the other team certainly has the ability to go into an all-out aerial assault to try and reel them in. I'm gonna go with the over in this game.
Listen, I think points will be scored. I can take the over here too. I also like SMU to win this game.
Go to Friday. It's a light weekday college football schedule. They don't like to generally run against the World Series. That's why they do it like this. And we go to Boulder, Folsom Field, one of my favorite names for a field because I like Johnny Cash, right? So it's kind of like Johnny Cash, Folsom Field. Buffaloes, right? So Ralphie will be running out of the tunnel, and the Buffs are hosting USC in this one. Colorado 3-4, trying to get back to 500. USC 4-3 in a Pac-12 that's just a jumbled mess all the way around. But it is a weekday night football game. It's the only game in town. I believe there will be a World Series game on Friday. Thursday, I think, is the day off this year.
Right. I'll take USC. On the road. I've never been impressed with Colorado. They've laid some big eggs. They've won some games, but I think they're too inconsistent for me. USC, played Notre Dame very tough. The kid, the freshman quarterback, Slovis, didn't get hurt, so I see him back behind center. USC is underrated, and I'll take USC and the points on the road at Colorado.
Yeah, I struggle with this game, and I'm not really sure where I'm at with it. I did do a video on it, and I'm kind of back and forth on it. I still am. I'm just not sold on either team in this one. And, the guy who I'm not sold, of course, is Colorado quarterback Steven Montez. Just bugs me, just bugs me. I hate quarterbacks that have the skill set and can't execute. It's just like, I don't understand why they know they have 2 to 3 seconds to make a decision. I'm sure they practice this. I've never been in a college football practice. I know that. And I've never been in an NFL. I've never been in the huddle in an NFL football practice. But I'm going to imagine that some guy there is paid to be a quarterback's coach. And he says, let's practice, just get the ball and throw it. Just get the ball and throw it.
You got 2 seconds to get rid of this ball. You got 3 seconds.
What is he exactly looking at?
A 5-step or a 7-step drop.
I mean,
it's as simple as that. that goes with that.
I understand the deer in the headlight. I even that froze up. Oh, there we go. But I understand the deer in the headlights. I understand the all that stuff. But what I don't understand is
I know exactly what they're talking about because I've experienced it myself. Sometimes you see things out there that are just not there, and then sometimes you see things that are mirages. And
I know, but I think you can. I think everybody in every sport makes a mistake. It happens, right? Tiger Woods, in the height of his career, made mistakes out there on the golf course. But you don't make the same mistake over and over and over again.
That's true. You learn from your mistakes, in theory. Absolutely.
You take a 3-wood off the tee once in a while to hit the short grass. I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it. I mean, you don't want to do it, right? Because that's not our game. So laying it in, just laying it in the short grass, not what we do. But sometimes, there's a lake out there, and it's like you just don't feel like hitting it in there today. And it's like, I don't understand what this guy Montez is doing because he's hitting in the lake every single time out. He's just getting drilled. I mean, it's one of those guys, it's kind of like Eric Hipple in Crunch Course where he's just getting drilled over and over and over again. I don't know, man. I just don't understand what he's doing out there. And I seldom understand the game plan. It's a very hard game for me, and I don't know. I'll probably have a different pick by the time Friday rolls around. I'm leaning USC, but once again, on the road, this is the spot where they always fall apart.
Yeah, they got better athletes. Come on, USC is loaded.
Yeah, they always fall apart in spots like this.
Listen, I got it. But Colorado, to my point, very inconsistent.
Kansas State's at home getting 23.5 against the Sooners. Kansas State beat TCU last week in the Purple Battle. Meanwhile, the Sooners 7-0. They got to be thinking playoff, right? They run the table, playoff. And I think we're starting to hear grumblings, which I like. I like these grumblings because I've been grumbling for a long time that that teams are being rewarded for playing the light schedule, and that's the problem. If you're undefeated, you have an argument, So Oklahoma hasn't really played like an out of conference like in Ohio like they used to play, or they played in some years. They didn't play in Miami like they played. They didn't play at Clemson. They didn't play Michigan. They didn't play
the top 15.
Georgia. They didn't play LSU. They didn't play any of these teams. So why is their 7-0 better than Oregon's 6-1? Why is it any better? Is it better? I don't really know, but
and it's a healthy debate. Absolutely.
66% of the public here on the Sooners, and the line has moved in that direction as well. So it's actually absolutely textbook line movement here.
Yeah. I still like Oklahoma here. 23.5 points is the last I saw. That was only a few minutes ago. Again, Jalen Hurts, I think he's going to run for 3. He'll throw for 2. So right there, that's 5 touchdowns. Kansas State, we talked about them. No longer have Bill Snyder roaming the sidelines after decade. I like Oklahoma. Can I tell you that their 7-0 is the best in the country? Not really. One of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the country. But Oklahoma on the road, I'll take this all day long, 23.5 points. I like the Sooners.
Yeah, I think I'm on the Sooners in this one too. I don't like it as much as you do, but I think I'm on the Sooners, and it's just I don't know if Kansas's offense can keep pace with Oklahoma. The Oklahoma defense is a skosh better than they were last year, so maybe they keep it, but it's going to be right around that number.
Yeah, but to your point, Oklahoma's drives are freaking 2-3 minutes long, and they score a ton of points. So
let's go to Columbus, Ohio, where the Buckeyes are taking on the Badgers. 14-point favorites here. 53% of the public on Ohio State. The line's gone from 13 to 14, but it's held pretty steady since opening. It opened at 13, it went right to 14, and it is stuck there. The Bucks 7-0, 3-1 against the number at home, 6-1 against the number of the season. Wisconsin 6-1 on the season. They got caught with their proverbial pants down, looking ahead.
They most certainly did.
It's kind of like it's something that I talk about a lot on these shows. The coaches that take their foot off the gas, and then you can't turn it back on when you need to because you've shut it down. And we saw Penn State do it last week, and we saw Wisconsin do it, and it cost them the entire game against Illinois in a game they should have won easily. But meanwhile, Ohio State hasn't really been tested this season. They haven't really played against much. Their toughest game has been Michigan State at home. Now they're home again. It's like, I mean, this is a team that plays a lot of home games, right? I mean, Florida, Michigan, Ohio State, these guys play a lot of home games. Generally, Ohio State does schedule an out-of-conference opponent that's a real team. They didn't do it this year, but they generally do play in Oklahoma, Texas, or someone like that, Miami, but not this season. I don't know. I think this is, is Wisconsin, can that defense contain Ohio State? Because no one else has been able to yet.
Right. Listen, Jonathan Taylor, obviously Wisconsin's got a solid run game. Like I just read, the kid is the fastest kid to 5,000 yards career rushing. So we always talk about Wisconsin. I've been high on Wisconsin for the last month, actually. They've been pretty, done well for me. But I can't get over the loss of against Illinois. I'm still scratching my head at that one. And now they got to go to the Horseshoe. Well, I'll take a flyer on Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes, Justin Fields. Not that he reminds me of Jalen Hurts, but he's the same type of player with the feet and the ability. He's a better passer, it looks like, than Jalen Hurts. But I'll take Ohio State here, winning by more than 14 points in the Horseshoe, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the other way on this one. I might change my opinion on game day, but I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think that the defense steps up. I've seen Ohio State over the years stumble in spots very, very much like this one. I think if you can run the football and play defense, you always have a chance to beat anybody. And I think that the way to beat Ohio State in an aggressive pressure defense is to punch it up the gut. And I think Wisconsin has the ability to do that. And, I look at, historically, the games that I saw as a kid, my Miami Hurricanes, and the way that they used to get it done is, you run it between the tackles and you punch it up the gut against an aggressive defense, and then you play defense. You play defense, and you try and put your offense on a short field. You kick some field goals. You have a quarterback that, hits the tight end here, hits the tight end there, and, before you know it, it's a 1-yard plunge into the end zone. And I think that's what Wisconsin is going to have to do to stay in this game. That is their only chance. Paul Chryst game planning, I've been skeptical on it for, I don't know, my life, but
Sounds right.
But last week it was exactly all the things. All my worst fears were confirmed. But I think that they bounced back. I'm going to take Wisconsin in this one, and I might change my opinion come Saturday.
Going Buckeye Nation.
Let's go to West Lafayette, Indiana. This is a city that has a special place in my heart. My wife is from Cincinnati. We used to drive from Chicago to Cincinnati, and the only Chick-fil-A in the area was in West Lafayette, and we used to stop at that one on the drive down. Who doesn't like a nice Chick-fil-A number one? Everyone likes the number one at Chick-fil-A. Don't even say you don't order the number one. I like the hot and spicy. I like the nugget. You get the number one, and that's
number
it.
One, period.
I'm going in. I'm getting everybody a number one. 6 number ones. That's it. It's like, well, I want it. You'll get the number one, and you're like, I want no pickles. All right. No pickles.
Give me 5 number ones, 1 without pickles.
That's pretty much how
That's
it
it.
goes. Now, which one of these things doesn't have the pickles? I mean, that's what it always comes down to. Though I have to say, at Chick-fil-A, I do have a new system. We don't have one, and we don't have them in Hawaii, and we don't have them in Maui. But when I am on the mainland, I always go to Chick-fil-A, and I gotta say, this is what I've done. I don't get the combo meal. I get just the sandwich for the number one. Then I get a small nugget instead of the fries.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay. I can live with that.
Yeah. It's a nice touch. And it makes for a nice meal. But anyways, Purdue against Illinois. Illinois coming off the big win. Now they're 10-point dogs. Meanwhile, Purdue, I took them last week and they rolled. 2-5. Jeff Brom's team, little margin for error here. But Illinois, if they can get to 4-4, they'll be 2 games away from bowl eligibility. Last year at Champaign, 46-7 Boilers. A little bit of revenge in mind. Of course, Illinois, they beat Wisconsin. They lost to Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Eastern Michigan. Going into that game, their wins: Akron, Connecticut, Wisconsin. Right? Those are their wins.
Big one. That's a big one.
Purdue losing to Iowa last week, beating up. It was Maryland they beat. Lost Penn State, lost Minnesota, lost TCU, beat Vandy, lost to Nevada, 34-31. I don't know. This seems like a lot of points to me, but the public seems to be going that way.
Yeah. To your point, Purdue, tough losses against some good teams, but inexcusable losses as well. Illinois, like you said, you kind of preach. You have a big victory the week before. Could be somewhat of a letdown, being they're going on the road to Purdue. To your point, Purdue kicked the crap out of them last year. This is a tough game for me to pick. But I'll go with Illinois and NFL coach Lovie Smith rallying the troops and the fact that they're, 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. I'll take Illinois in this game.
I'm going to take Purdue. What the hell? They got a lot of athletes on this team. I think that they can create some problems for Illinois. Move on to College Station, Texas A&M against Mississippi State. I've said it before, that Mississippi State-Tennessee game it still hurts to even think about it. That I had it on the big screen for a whole half of football. And
generally, he had enough therapy the past 2 weeks.
Generally, I love college football. It's my game, but that Mississippi State-Tennessee game, it really, really set me back and made me rethink things. And I had to do some serious soul searching after that one to decide if this was the path I wanted to take with my sports betting and viewing future. Because I just have never seen quarterback play that bad on both sides of the ball. But meanwhile, Mississippi State, here it goes. They go to College Station. They're getting 10.5 points. The line opened at 10.5. It's at 10.5. Jimbo Fisher, don't like what he's doing as a head coach. And the Aggies, 72% of the public on Texas A&M in this game.
No, that's 10.5 points. I'll take Mississippi State on the road here. I thought Texas A&M would be better than what they are. And Joe Moorhead is the head coach of Mississippi State. He's done a good job under the radar. I think he's probably 11-9. That's no Sylvester Croom type of record, so I think it's a pretty serviceable record for a Northeast guy going to Mississippi State. 10.5 points. I see Texas A&M winning the game, but I see Mississippi State giving them a good battle. So I think I'll take Mississippi State here.
I'm going to go in the total on this game. I think like I said, that Mississippi State quarterback play just a little sloppy. They're going to have to play conservative here on the road to even stay in the game. This is one of those games that you try and keep it close and give yourself a chance to win at the end. Jimbo Fisher generally gives guys that chance unless he's got someone else's players to coach, which he doesn't have anymore. Texas A&M. So I think that I'm going to go with the under 50.5, even though the total's up 50.5. But I'll go under 50.5. Texas A&M and Mississippi State.
I'll go under here.
We'll go to the next game. We'll go to Evanston, where Northwestern takes on Iowa. The Northwestern Wildcats 10-point dogs at home in this one. Generally, they've played Iowa pretty tough over the years, but Iowa 5-2. The 2 losses, Penn State and Michigan, back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
The Hawkeyes bounced back last week against Purdue. 0-2 against the number on the road. Northwestern 0-3 against the number at home. 1-5 straight up this season. This is the worst Pat Fitzgerald Northwestern team we've seen in a very, very long time.
Yep.
64% of the public on Iowa, but the line hasn't budged.
Yeah. No, I agree. I gave Northwestern a couple passes earlier, maybe week 5, week 6. But to your point, this is one of the worst Northwestern teams in a long time, actually. Iowa, I've been a fan of them. To your point, they got the 2 tough losses against 2 good teams. I think Iowa on the road can cover by 10 points, so I'm going to take Iowa all the way here.
I'm with you on Iowa. I just don't see Northwestern having any kind of moxie to stand up in this one.
I agree. I agree. The coach got moxie, but he can't play for him.
Yeah, this just isn't the typical Northwestern team. I'm not saying that the program's over. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying it's more amazing that they haven't had more years like this. Is really the amazing part of the whole story. So we're not going to criticize them. We're just going to say it's pretty amazing that
it's a down year. And
but it's amazing with what they have to work with that this is, that this is really, they don't have too many. So normally we wouldn't go over this game on this show, but we go to Piscataway. Rutgers, I know tickets are selling like hotcakes for this one. They're hosting the Liberty Flames. The line went from 7 to 7.5. Liberty here favored on the road against the Big Ten team. Liberty 5-2. Hugh Freeze's Flames, 1 game away from being bowl eligible. Their second year in FBS.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 game away from being bowl eligible in their second year in FBS. Pretty amazing. 7.5 point favorites, better than a touchdown favorite against a Big Ten team.
Right.
I don't know. Rutgers is just a dumpster fire right now. So, Steve, I know you've been anti-Rutgers.
No, I'm actually, again, I know the head coach of Rutgers, the interim coach. I know a lot of players. I've seen them play in North Jersey. I know fans of Rutgers and people that graduated Rutgers. I actually saw the head coach of Rutgers on Saturday night after they got smoked by Minnesota. And his first comment to me when I said, he's a good guy. And he was saying, "Oh, did you take Minnesota in the points?" I said, "Of course, it's a cash cow." And he has a good sense of humor about it. But the fact of the matter is, the fact that they are an underdog, a Big Ten team to Liberty, to your point. Now, what he did say was Liberty scores a lot of points, and Rutgers can't stop anybody. And Rutgers can't score any points. And the fact of the matter is, at 7.5 points, I'm going to ride the Rutgers train as much as I can here. And I can see Rutgers losing by freaking 10 points or 2 touchdowns. I can see them getting the ball in the end zone because I'd be shocked if they don't. But I'll take Liberty here. I'll take 7.5 points and that they're laying. And Rutgers has to prove that they can get a victory. And if it's against a non-Big Ten team, then that's what they're going to do. But until I see Rutgers pull this off, I'm taking Liberty here.
Anyways, to me, I look at Rutgers and I say 7 points last week, 0 points the week before, 7 points the week before that, 0 points the week before that, 16 points the week before that, 0 points before that, 48 points against UMass and 10 against and that's their whole season. So since opening day, they scored 48. Since then, they've scored 26 points. 16 is their high since then. You look at Liberty, 59, 20, 17, 62, 35. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, is there anything more to this,
Not really. And plus, Rutgers switched quarterbacks. They got a new kid, transferred from Boston College, Johnny Langan, played at Bergen Catholic for Nunzio, the interim coach. However, they just can't throw the ball right now. They have 0 run game. Defense can't stop anything. And again, I'll pound this home. Liberty scores a ton of points. Mitch just went over it. I have no problem taking Liberty here.
Yeah, I'm on Liberty myself in this one. This looks like a real shit show. Pittsburgh up against Miami. 61% of the public here on the Pitt Panthers. Got to remember, 2 years ago, Miami was looking like a possible playoff team, and they go into Pitt on that day after Thanksgiving, that Friday. That's a great day for college football. I really love that day. My favorite days for college football are that Friday and that Saturday. It's all the name games, the trophy games. Not all of them, but a lot of the name games, a lot of trophy games, are on that day. And but that was a tough one for me.
Everything else going around that day, right?
It was a tough one for me, but Pitt 5-2 coming into this one, playing some really nice football actually, and meanwhile Miami 3-4, once again losing in overtime. Every game that they've lost this season, they're 3-4, and I know Steve will say I'm pro Miami. I am, but the thing is, all their losses.
I get
So
that.
when people ask me the following year, when I'm doing my homework, right, which I start in June, right, for college football, when I start doing my homework, the two things that I always look for the teams that are going to have the biggest turnaround and the ones that we're going to get the most value on, the two things that I look at, number one, close games, which could have gone either way, overtime and games settled by a touchdown or less, right? I look at that, and then the easiest one to turn a season around, turnovers. You show me a team that goes from -16 to +16, I'll show you a team that goes from 4-8 to 8-4, like that, Sure. And I'll tell you, Nunzio would say the same thing. He's like, man, if we could be +3 in the turnover department every game, we probably I might even have a job
results
next season.
Right. See some results.
So
who do you like here? Pitt versus Miami.
I like Pitt minus the 5.5. I just don't like the way my Canes are playing. This is. I know a lot of people didn't watch that Miami game on the ACC network. Of course, I had it on the big screen, and they beat Georgia Tech up and down in that game. They missed 3 field goals, including 2 of them inside the 20-yard line. They were inside the 20, like extra point length, and they missed them. 2 of them. One is time. They missed a 14-yard field goal as time expired. I mean, how is that even possible? That means you're on like the 1 foot line. You go for the field goal, and your kicker kicks it low. A field goal should never be blocked if it's less than 25 yards. I mean, never. And Miami had that one blocked. They had another one where the guy missed, a chip shot. They've had real kicker problems. And this is crazy for a program that traditionally has had some pretty good kickers, and they have NFL kickers right now. But they don't have a kicker, and it is their problem. I think their defense is good enough to stop the Pitt offense. I think their offense is good enough to score on the Pitt defense, but you can't kick field. It's like if Miami goes out and wins this game, I don't think anyone is shocked. It's not like a shocking upset. At the same time, they're going to have to play a little better than they've been playing. I think the consistency at quarterback has hurt them too. They've been playing musical chairs at quarterback. N'Kosi Perry. I know he was like, when he was recruited, it was Trevor Lawrence, Mond, and him. It was like, we got him, and I'd rather have Lawrence.
He's playing like him.
Yeah, I'd rather have Lawrence, personally.
I imagine you would, yeah.
Yeah. But this is who we got. And then this Martell that came in from Ohio State. Burrow goes to LSU. We get Martell.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Burrow. But the nice thing about Martell, here's the nice thing about Martell, is that if he stays with the Canes after the season, which I think he will.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
He has 2 of those teammates from his team in high school that are both on the team. Brevin Jordan, who looks like a top 5 NFL draft pick, top 10 NFL draft pick, playing well. And then the safety that transferred over from USC, who's ineligible this season, and he'll be playing next year, who's one of the top safeties in the nation. And so, I think the future is bright in Miami. I like, they didn't get their recruits this year. They all decommitted when Manny Diaz left. And, then before he came back, they'd already committed somewhere else. They went to the big schools, Michigan, Alabama. These were all going to be Miami recruits. And, right now, this is a team that's loaded with talent. It's, once again, we're going to see these guys in the NFL. We're going to see these guys. You watch the stupid Jets-Patriots, that crap fest on Monday night. You saw Miami players all over the field. Philip Dorsett's catching passes all of a sudden. Braxton Berrios has got a roster spot on the Jets. It's like everyone's playing. It's like, I don't understand it, but I'll tell you, and I think this roster has it too. I think, when DJ Dallas went out of last week's game, that was really the turning point, because this guy, I know Steve gets sick of me hearing me say these things, but this guy is one of the top 5 running backs in the country. He is easily one of the top 5 running backs in the country. And as an NFL running back, he's the best of the bunch. He's better than Taylor. He's better than any of those guys because he's way faster.
Yes, I've heard that before about some Canes.
Yeah, and one of those guys was Edgerrin James that I said was when he was getting 0 Heisman talk, and it was all these running backs, and I said, this guy Edgerrin James is the best of all of them, and Ricky Williams, Ricky Williams is the best. It's like, Where do you see this guy? The only reason that this guy doesn't run for 10,000 yards a season because the end zone keeps getting in the way. And,
Well, that being said, on your State of the Miami Hurricane football program, I'm going to go with Pitt here, too. I think Pitt's playing
So I didn't
football.
sway you, is what you're saying.
You didn't sway me, 5-2. I thought Miami, I took them a couple weeks ago. They got their win, so to speak. But Pitt's been playing good defense, and inconsistency at quarterback for Miami's been the problem here.
All right, I'm going to change my pick.
I'll take Pitt.
I'm changing my pick. I know we got a lot of guys from the 305 that watch the show. We got some Canes over here. I'm going for the U. It's all about, and Kellen Winslow Jr., it's all about this U. Anyways, let's roll on to the next game. We took a little while with that one. Let's go to Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. Iowa State laying 10.5 in this thing. Mike Gundy's team, 4-3 on the season. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, we were talking that they had a shot to win the Big 12 if they could knock off Oklahoma. That's come and gone. Meanwhile, Iowa State 5-2 on the season, but you got to remember, only one of those losses in the Big 12 as the other one was at a conference against Iowa, 1-pointer. 10.5 points though, big number at home. 3-1 at home, 3-1 against the number.
And therefore, I'll take them at home, 10.5 here. Iowa State. I think they're having a good season for them. I like the fact that they're home. I think Oklahoma State's been inconsistent too. Mike Gundy team, you spoke about him. I'll take Iowa State here, win them by a couple touchdowns.
I like ISU too. I think they're just a little bit more consistent than them. Let's go to TCU versus Texas. The Horned Frogs coming off that loss at Kansas State, 3-3 on the season. The Longhorns escaping against Les Miles' Kansas Jayhawks. Now they're 5-2 on the season. What are you thinking here? Texas, 1.5 point favorites. They were favored by 3 earlier this week.
Yeah, I'm all in on Texas. Not even blinking here.
Yeah, Steve is big on Texas this season. They haven't really treated him that well. The one time he doesn't take them in Red River when I have them, they come through. But I'll tell you, those of you guys that I'm just releasing, tomorrow will be my first day having premium picks here at Pick Dogs. And so this is a game on Saturday. Like if you watch Saturday show, I'm going to say this is a premium pick. I'm taking TCU. It's going to be a premium pick. I'm giving you guys a free premium pick for tuning in and watching the show. I love TCU. And people say, this is what people say when I do these videos, live shows, everything like this. I can always tell when you really like a game because your voice gets really excited. I'm tap dancing over here. I love this one. Money line. I think it's going to be one of the more one-sided games that we see losses for Texas. This line opened at 3. It's down to 1.5. 75% of the people are on the Longhorns, yet the big bets are coming on TCU, and you know why? Because Gary Patterson knows that he makes a ton of money, and the Horned Frogs are 3-3. He can go 6-6 this season as long as this is one of the W6. As long as this is one of the 6 in the W column,
yeah,
he's safe for a couple years because this is a home game, and those boosters, those alumni, they're going to be at this one, and they hate Texas. Because TCU comes from the Mountain West Conference originally. They were not in the Big 12 Conference. They were the stepchild. They were the disrespected one. They have a chip on their shoulder. And I'll tell you what, these are the games for TCU that puts all those defensive linemen into the NFL. This is that type of game. We've seen it before. You look at, who was the guy with the Panthers that was like, just a homer.
The TCU guy?
Yeah,
Panthers. Comes to mind is Jerry Hughes on Buffalo.
Yeah, but there's who?
On Panthers camp, Jerry Hughes?
Yeah, Jerry Hughes on Buffalo, but the Panthers had a guy. And then of course, there's been a ton. There's been a ton. And I love TCU in this game though. I love
Texas. I mean, I'm equally as passionate, maybe not sounding as passionate as you are, but I like Sam Ehlinger. I like Tom Herman, the coach. This is a big Texas rivalry game. I think Texas is better than you think
This is like one of the most public teams out there behind Notre Dame and Michigan.
Sure.
Okay? Texas is a top 5 of public team. 75% of the public is bet on Texas, and the line's dropped 1.5 points. With Gary Patterson's Frogs, I don't know.
Okay. Let's say they got to lace them up and play. I like Texas.
Let's go to Baton Rouge. LSU taking on Auburn. Auburn's 6-1 on the season, but in the SEC West, nothing has been decided because you have 3 heavy hitters there at the top of the standings. You got Alabama, undefeated, LSU, undefeated, Auburn, 1 loss, and they all play each other at one point. So if you can sweep it, as the military teams do, it'd be the Commander-in-Chief Trophy winner, right? As Jimmy Johnson used to call it, we need to win the state of Florida, right? He would never say we're going to win the national championship. We're going to win the state of Florida. You know, that's what Jimmy Johnson used to say, and Howard Schnellenberger. We're going to win the state of Florida. And he just felt if we win the state of Florida, we're going to the national championship game. And I think in the SEC, everyone knows if you win the SEC championship, you go to the playoffs. You're going to go.
Yeah.
You know, whether a 1-loss SEC team can make it, that's not Alabama, I don't know. But it would take LSU winning this game, and then their 1 loss being Alabama, not playing in the championship game, and then hoping that Alabama wins that championship game. If Alabama was to lose the championship game, and if it was a 1-loss Florida team, even though LSU beat Florida, Florida would go ahead of LSU. And if possible, if Notre Dame, Oregon, and some of these other teams squeeze in there, it might just be one SEC team. Very, very possible, because right now we're looking at the Mitch playoff system is Penn State versus Ohio State for a spot. The winner of this mess in the SEC of those 3 teams,
that's a spot.
Clemson, right? It has a spot in Oklahoma. Those are the 4 teams those are the 4 spots that are available for this year's playoff. Now, if there's a stumble, Oregon backs in. You know, if Oklahoma, Ohio State, Penn State, if there's stumbles among those, Oregon is right in if they can run the table the rest of the way. Good. So,
you know me, I've been all in on LSU. Joe Burrow, Ed Orgeron, the game is at LSU. However, to your point, the SEC is so freaking tough, man. Auburn is good. They're 6-1. Gus Malzahn is now calling the plays, and it seems like Auburn is scoring points. They always have a good defense. They got good athletes. They're not, intimidated the slightest by LSU. They got a freshman quarterback, right, Bo Nix. So he's playing not his first real big game, but this is a glaring spotlight in LSU.
Auburn's had some. Auburn's played. Auburn. To correct you on that one, I don't really ever correct you on the show, but on this one, I will correct you because Bo Nix has played Oregon, Florida, Texas A&M on the road, and this one is like he's run the gauntlet.
My point is this one's even bigger than those.
Yeah, but at the time, there was no bigger games.
I get what you're saying, but this is a pretty damn big one. So I really been back and forth. I do respect Auburn, and I'm just going to go with LSU. I know it's 11 points. I like Burrow. I think this kid is a good quarterback. I like him a hell of a lot more than you do. LSU's got some real good athletes. They're getting ready. It's a tough game, but they're 2 in the country. Looking forward to Alabama. Ah, God. You know what? I'm going to go with Auburn here.
I'm with you on Auburn. I'm with you the same way. I just think it's too many points. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I like LSU to win it, though. But
the total is 58.5 on this thing. It seems a little high to me. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go to Flexville, where the Minnesota Golden Gophers taking on Maryland. Maryland's been pretty disappointing in all of their step-up games. Meanwhile, Minnesota's 7-0. Do they have a claim at the playoff if they can run it out? I mean,
no.
Why not?
Not happening. They could go undefeated, but listen, crazier things have happened, but I would say absolutely not.
I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then.
Oh, sure are.
When we look at the Minnesota schedule, on the way out on this one, okay, it's Maryland, Penn State, Iowa, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and then if they can win that out, it would be championship game against the Buckeyes.
Yeah,
so you're saying if they beat Maryland, if they beat Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Ohio State, win the Big Ten title and are undefeated, they're going.
I'm not saying that's not, if that happens, that obviously they make a compelling case. It's not happening, though. It's just not gonna.
Let's just say, will it be a more annoying press conference than a month worth of PJ Fleck in the college football playoff system? I mean, I can't think of a worse case scenario than that, personally.
Well, back to this week's game. I think Maryland, very inconsistent. Minnesota, I think this is more than a winnable game at home. They've been playing real good. They're scoring points. I will take Minnesota 16.5 till they start playing Penn State and Iowa and Wisconsin. So I'll ride the Minnesota train for one more week.
Yeah, this is I like Minnesota too. Wisconsin has just been. Maryland has just been.
Yeah.
They've been terrible in the step-up spots, and it's like they've been good at times, but in these step-up games, absolutely hideous. Let's go to East Lansing. Sparty taking on Penn State here. Land Grant Trophy game. Michigan State plus 6.5. 33% of the public on the Spartans. It's got from 6 to 6.5. Nothing good looking here for the Spartans. Of course, Penn State last week took their foot off the gas against Michigan. Had them running up and down the field and then decided, I don't know what they were doing, to be honest with you.
Right, Jim Harbaugh has been having a tough go. Let's take our foot off the pedal here.
I mean, that's really what happened there. I can't understand it, but they're looking at a low total in this game at 44.5, but is that more a reflection of the inept Michigan offense, who's, the Spartans are 3-1 at home this season, and the one loss was a very controversial game against Arizona State. But, is this a reflection that the Michigan State offense can't score, that the Michigan State defense can hold back that Penn State offense, which when they tried to score against Michigan, it was long touchdowns and, just big plays and, you know.
Penn State's got some nice athletes now. Top-notch athletes. And Michigan State, I think they're inept on offense. Lewerke, that's his name, the Michigan State quarterback, Brian Lewerke. Not overly impressed with this kid. This is probably his second full-year start. I'd like to play a touchdown Penn State here. Penn State got a lot to play for, and I don't see him tripping up against Michigan State.
I like the under in this one. It's like they're begging you. I like the under. They're begging you to take the over. It went from 43.5 to 44.5, and I just got to go. I got to go with the under, and I think that's going to be my pick for this show. We'll move it right along. Go to Tallahassee. Tough go of it for Willie Taggart, but still looking possibly at a bowl game. Same thing for Syracuse, 3-4. Someone's going to be 500. Someone's going to be 3-5. 500 in the ACC gets you about to the Pinstripe Bowl or the Arizona, not the Arizona Bowl, but the Cactus Bowl or whatever you want to call it. It gets you in that range.
Poinsettia Bowl,
CarQuest, it could be.
It's a ball game. I'm not minimizing.
Belk, Belk Bowl,
The Pool and Weed Eater Bowl is still my all-time favorite.
Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl.
Love the Blue Bonnet. Come on, if you don't, come on.
Those are 10-point favorites here. Dino Babers' team just has not gotten nothing. They haven't gotten off the bus this season. 3-4, but this could be one of the ugliest 3-4s I've seen this year.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about Syracuse, Tommy DeVito, first-year quarterback. Babers, I think Babers is a good coach. I think he's got to restock his groceries a little bit. And Florida State, as bad as they've been under Willie Taggart, they still got premium athletes in their home. I'll take Florida State.
I'm going to take Florida State here too. Willie Taggart getting the vote of confidence this week, which is never a good sign.
Exactly.
But he
So,
did get
Willie's
it.
got basically about 3 or 4 games left in his Florida State career. That's what that means.
Those of you watching us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. This is our college football show. If you're looking for other types of picks, baseball or whatever, I have 3 pick videos at YouTube, and I also did a live show this morning where I went over all of today's action, the NBA and the World Series and all that other stuff. But today this is our college football show. We already did those shows, and I also did, like I said, individual YouTube videos. So if you go to our YouTube channel and you just look at the videos that are there, it'll say World Series, Game 2, Astros versus Nationals, 10-23-19, free pick prediction. Pretty much it's I can't make it any more obvious of what that video is. And I have that, and then I have 4 NBA picks as well in videos, including the return of the dog of the day. So be sure to check that all out. And, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the thumbs up. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back here with the NFL show. So same time. We're thinking about moving the time of the show. We're still kicking it around. I originally ran this show because I wanted to go up against that shitty Picks and Parlays radio show. But I thought, beating him up head to head would kind of make me feel better about, what a prick Craig has been. But actually, he does a really good job of beating himself, so I don't really have to do anything. It kind of sucks a little bit of the joy out of it for me. I'd rather go at a time that's convenient for more viewers. And because these shows have more of a shelf life, I think moving the show back to 5:30 Eastern or 5 o'clock might be a better fit for us because more people will be home from work and be able to watch the show. It just, like I said, it's not like the morning show where this way it gives people 6-7 hours to tune back, watch the show, and get the picks. This one, they'll have a couple days to do it, so it really doesn't matter as much. And we'll do the NFL show tomorrow at the regular time, and Steve and I will figure out if we can do it at a different time or whatever. But like I said, the point of me doing it at this time was because Craig said I was too old and shitty to do his crappy show, and I just wanted to show him how old and shitty I was and kick his ass on a regular basis. And I think I've done that. So, I feel good about where I'm at, and I'm going to feel a lot better about it in the very near future. But anyways, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers, 1-point favorites against Indiana. Nebraska opened as a 2-point dog. I did my free pick video on this game and took the Huskers, and the line moved 3 points. I'm not saying that people saw my video and my explanation. I'm just saying I picked Nebraska, and the line moved 3 points. That's all I'm saying. But
coincidence, I think.
But I've been down on Nebraska, not because I don't think that they're pointed in the right direction, not that I don't think that, Frost is a great coach. None of those things is the reason why I've been down on Nebraska. I thought that the ask was too much too soon because this isn't a program where I know historically they've done well under Tom Osborne and all that stuff, but it's a while ago. So these kids, they don't remember that, the kids nowadays. And Nebraska is a tough sell. It's a tough sell. I think Frost can make it an easier sell, and that's why he's there, and that's why they wanted him. He makes it a much easier sell. He's got an open offense. He's going to get a Mackenzie Milton type quarterback in there, and a Blake Bortles that stays an extra season. To really learn how to be a quarterback. And he'll get stuff like that going at Nebraska. He's not quite there yet, so I didn't understand why they were making him a favorite and a big favorite in all these games. In this game, they started him off as a 2-point dog. He moves to a 1-point favorite. Meanwhile, Indiana, who, you want to talk about coaches that take their foot off the gas. I don't know. I don't think this guy leaves the locker room after halftime. Not really sure what the hell goes on in Indiana, but they are 5-2 this season. So we got the 4-3 Huskers, -1 at home against the 5-2 Hoosiers.
I'm going Nebraska. I'm not taking Indiana going to Nebraska. Not happening.
Yeah, I'm going with Nebraska as well. I think that, Big Red and the crowd, I think that they're finally getting back into it. Not quite the Nebraska teams that I grew up with.
Not even close.
I grew up in Miami, and this is Nebraska was in the Orange Bowl. It was always Nebraska or Oklahoma was in the Orange Bowl every single season. Once in a blue moon, it was Colorado or something, but usually it was Nebraska or Oklahoma. And Nebraska's not quite at that level yet. I think that with Frost there, they have a chance of doing that, and restoring. I think they do.
2 years to do it.
Yeah, I think
Where
the
the
ask is just too much right now.
team.
The ask is too. It's like the expectation. I don't think of the Nebraska the Nebraska people or the Nebraska fans. I think of the general public, the expectation's too high because of what he did at UCF. It's just too high. It takes time to build that, because his offense is kind of a wide open, fast paced thing, and it's like if you're left with I formation guys, you just don't have the tools to run that offense. Anyways, speaking about tools to run offenses, the Lamar Jackson days seem like they were 100 years ago at Louisville. They're plus 3.5 here at home against the Wahoos. Virginia, 69% of the public on Virginia after last week's dominating home win after those 2 losses on the road. Virginia 5-2 coming in. Bronco Mendenhall game away from bowl eligibility. Louisville 4-3, not bad for a team that's bouncing off the pavement. And I think Louisville's kind of on the way back up. Are they enough back up to beat Virginia? That's really the issue here.
I would say the answer is no. I'll take Virginia here. Again, we've talked about Virginia. They're 2 tough losses, and I'm happy I had Virginia all last week. They came back strong. I think Bronco Mendenhall, I think the world of him. He's a first-rate college coach. He's a motivator, holds his players accountable. They're going to go into Louisville. I think Virginia leaves with the victory.
Yeah, to me, I'm back and forth. I'm going to take Louisville with the points, 3.5. I think they cover. We'll go to North Carolina versus Duke. Not basketball, but football. Going to be a lot more compelling basketball game this season. At UNC 3-4, Duke 4-3. Duke coming off a really bad performance. North Carolina won their first 3 games. They haven't won since.
Right. It's hard to believe. They've been in a bunch of games. Obviously, the Clemson game. Mac Brown's a good coach. Duke is a very underrated football team the last several years under David Cutcliffe. Duke is home. I like Duke here. I think NC still reels a little bit until Mac can get the pieces in there in the next year or 2. So I'll take Duke at home here.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on this game. I really am, and I'm just not sure who to take. It's I think Cutcliffe keeps it close. I think Cutcliffe keeps it close enough. It's like I don't know who wins the game. I think it's a coin toss. So getting 3.5, you got to take the points. We go to Knoxville, Tennessee plus 4.5 against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Tennessee opened as a 1-point favorite in this game. Go figure that one. Quickly moved to South Carolina as a 4.5-point favorite. Coming off of that loss against Florida, where I came on at halftime and of that game, and I said Florida for the second half. As I'm still on talking about some of the other games, South Carolina scores a touchdown right out of the gate in the second half, of course, because I'm saying Florida. And then I say, bet Florida on the live end game because they're going to kill them. And they certainly did. Florida's just so loaded with athletes, just a different class. But Tennessee, 2-5 this season. South Carolina, 3-4. Both these teams with losing records. So it's a big game if you're thinking of going to a bowl game.
I'm all in on South Carolina. Tennessee is awful. Jeremy Pruitt has his hands full down there. They had the quarterback controversy with Garantano. Tennessee has just played god-awful football, uncharacteristic of a Tennessee Vol squad. For the most part, Will Muschamp, I think South Carolina's been very competitive in all the games. Even the game against Florida, to your point, they played them tough up until halftime. And they're coming off the big Georgia victory a couple weeks ago, so they're talented. So I think Tennessee just keeps reeling. I think there's so much dissension down there. I see South Carolina. I'm all in on the Gamecocks.
Got go to Philly. Temple taking on UCF. Temple plus 8.5 to open. Now they're plus 10.5 at home. So the line's moved 2 full points. And they're at home where they're unbeaten against the number and unbeaten straight up. Meanwhile, UCF just 1-2 on the road and 1-2 on the road against the number. What gives after? I think that part of this is probably because we saw Temple get lit up at Memphis against a high-powered offense, and UCF known for having a high-powered offense.
I'll take a flyer on UCF here. To your point, Temple, that Memphis game, the game was close early in the first half. Temple was actually winning. I think they were up by at least 10 points early in the first half. Wheels fell off. I'll take UCF in the points here.
I'm going to go with Temple. I just think at home, emotion, and we've seen that same formula beat UCF twice this season with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and I think that Temple can do the same thing. We'll go to
points for me.
We'll go to Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, where Kansas Jayhawks take on Texas Tech Red Raiders. Big 12 action, 2-5 for Kansas and Les Miles. Texas Tech 3-4, but 0-3 on the road, but favored here by 4 points.
I'll take the hat here at home, Kansas. The fact of the matter is Texas Tech is 0-3 on the road. I've seen them go 0-4. Kansas, first year with Les Miles. They beat Boston College. Nobody saw that coming. They've been scoring some points, and then they're inconsistent and back to a standard Kansas team. But I'll take them at home here. I think Miles has 6-7 games under his belt at Kansas and is instilling a winning culture there.
I like the over 64.5 in this one.
I can see a lot of points being
scored.
I think
a lot of points. And I think you can see some quick points. I think quick points always means a lot of points. Speaking of points, got 31.5 points in Tuscaloosa. Crimson Tide, of course, Tua Tagovailoa out for the Tide this week. 31.5 point favorites against the Hogs. Hogs 2-5 on the season, 0-2 on the road. Of course, Alabama 7-0, 4-0 at home, but just 1-3 against the number at home and 3-4 against the number overall this season.
Right, no Tua. I think Mac Jones is the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, Arkansas got pasted last week. Alabama, they're going to get ready for LSU. So it's 31.5 points at home. I like Alabama here at Alabama.
Yeah, I like Bama, but it's a lean at best.
It's a lean. I'm not...
At best. We go to another basketball school. Go to Lexington, where Kentucky takes on Missouri. Missouri 5-2 on the season. They played 2 road games. They've lost them both. They didn't cover in either of them. While one of them was at Wyoming too. While Kentucky, one of the more disappointing teams this season, but if Stoops can get the band back together, 3-4 on the season. Hey, they go 4-3. They go they go 3-2. Bring it home at 3-2. They're bowl eligible. 4-0 against the number at home, 5-2 against the spread in the season, and 3-1 straight up at home.
The fact that you hit it right on the head, they're home. So they play well at home. I'm going to go Kentucky here.
I got to go with Missouri. I just think that I don't see the Kentucky offense being able to keep up with them. I don't like this game. I'll be honest with you. Speaking of teams I don't like, we got one of those games for me with 2 of the best bands in college football, 2 of the best fight songs in college football, 2 of the best traditions in college football. Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines 5-2 on the season, host the Fighting Irish 5-1. The one loss at Georgia. Can the Irish back into the playoff? Not if they don't win here. They can. And I'll tell you, this game's gone from Michigan -6.5 to Notre Dame -1, with 66% of the public on the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I'm all in on Notre Dame here.
All in. No one ever hears me say this. I love Michigan in this game.
You love Michigan?
Love. This is possibly a premium pick as well. I love Michigan in this game. I do not see how this is where we've seen Notre Dame struggle. Okay, in the last under Brian Kelly, all the way under Brian Kelly. Physical defenses, and they're facing a physical defense here and an athletic defense. They're in deep doo-doo. Their defense is mediocre on a good day, and against a mediocre Michigan offense, that's probably a wash. But I like the Michigan defense way better than I like Book in that offense. I expect Book to get bruised in this game. Michigan, I don't care what they got a lot of the Miami recruits. The guys that Manny Diaz lost, they went to Michigan.
A ton of New Jersey recruits in my backyard too, so I'm familiar with Michigan's athletic ability. But the fact of the matter is, Jim Harbaugh Now you hear an NFL rumor nonsense again. Notre Dame is more talented than you think they are. They played Georgia very tough. But listen, against Clemson and Alabama, Notre Dame gets exposed. Michigan is not Clemson and Alabama with the team speed and everything like that. Are they a tough team? Are they going to the big house? Yeah. I see a close game. I'll take Notre Dame winning by at least a field goal here.
Michigan.
And then they move on, and they're a one-loss team. To your point, they got to win to even be.
This is the job saver for Jim Harbaugh. This is going to be the one that he's going to point to.
For what? 3 weeks till he plays Ohio State and gets.
Well, yeah, no. We know what's going to happen in that game, but I'm just saying Notre Dame's not in that same league. I mean, they're not even in the league with Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, whatever. At least Michigan can get on the field with those teams.
Yeah, but I'll take Notre Dame by a field goal, even though it's at the big house.
No chance.
Okay.
We go to Clemson. Those of you that were watching the Jets-Patriots game and joined us in our Facebook group, I posted some videos there from when I first started doing videos all the way back in 2008. And one of the videos I posted, I was out in front of Howard's Rock at Clemson, and they had it like fenced off, and they had it fenced off, and the rocks underneath like a plexiglass thing. They wouldn't let me near the damn thing, right? And it's like security came and asked me to leave. It's like they had read my Dabo Swinney comments or something. It was like they had read my Dabo Swinney comments. I heard what I had said about him or something. But anyways, it was a fun video. I just thought I'm not a dad. I think that Dabo's done a nice job coaching it. He's done a better job at recruiting than anything else, and he's made some gutsy calls. But I mean, even with 2 national championships, it's hard to put him in the category of some of these other coaches out there. I don't see it, But I guess winning is winning. But anyways, 34 points against Boston College. Steve hates Boston College. I loved them last week. They won easily against North Carolina State. 4-3 for this BC team. Clemson 7-0. Now, this is why I never really look. I never look at college football rankings. But I did read a headline that Ohio State passed Clemson in the rankings as well. So Clemson is now number 3. I don't read the rankings because I've seen some things in the rankings over the years that to me make no sense whatsoever. Okay, and usually what you see in the rankings, the things that makes no sense to me over the years are that you see a team that beat another team ranked below them with identical records. And you see it all the time, right? So it's like, why is this even relevant then? So we can ignore what happened on the field and just have these guys that don't watch the games rank the teams. And that's basically what we have, right? I watch more games than anybody that's voting on those things, right? I used to be in the College Football Writers Association of America. I'm not anymore, but I was. And I can tell you, I used to vote for all those things, the Outland Trophy, the All-American team, and all those things. I can tell you, I watch as much football as any of those guys, and more than most. And I can tell you that the rankings are usually way off, and that's why I always find value in the lines. And people are like, oh, you're known for your underdogs. You always pick the pick that nobody else is willing to take. Because I watch the game, so I see how these rankings work. Notre Dame is ranked for TV purposes only. And that is how they are ranked, by TV purposes only. I think Ohio State passing Clemson is travesty. If to be the man, you got to beat the man. And that's how it is. Boxing, any sport, to be the best, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Clemson, until they lose, they're the man. And I tell you what, the last time Ohio State played Clemson, and it was Urban Meyer, the legendary 3-time national championship coach, they never even got close to scoring a point. So I don't understand how a Big Ten team is ranked ahead of another team when the last 8 quarters of Big Ten football teams in the college football playoff have produced 0 points.
Crap. Right.
0 points. Zero. You can't have more crap than 0. Okay? The last 2 Big Ten teams to make it to the college football playoff have scored a net total of 0 points. It's like 0. How in the hell are they ranked ahead of the defending national champions? Let's look at that national championship game. Does anyone remember what the score was of that thing? I mean, it wasn't like this great game. I mean, the other one where Deshaun Watson hit Hunter Renfrow, who in year 16 at Clemson, that was a different story. He did it on the last play of the game. Guts of a burglar, right? Joe, what was his name? The guy from the Marlins said about Beckett. He's got the guts of a cat burglar. And, Deshaun Watson, he does have the guts of a cat burglar too. But I'll tell you what, last year's game, if it was a fight, they would have stopped it. And I'm just going to get the score because I know it was a one-sided game. And I just want to read the score to you guys. 44-16, okay? 44-16, and they're ranked 2 slots below these guys with the same quarterbacks. I don't know. It's the same quarterbacks. Better wide receivers for Clemson this year than they had last year. Etienne is back at running back. I know it's a different defensive line, but still a damn good defense. I don't know. Someone explain this to me. How is... So, 44-16. It was 14-13 in the first quarter. 17-3 in the second quarter. Clemson scored 13, and then they put the scrubs in.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And Ohio State, it's like they haven't done enough to be ranked ahead of this team that's won 2 national championships in the time that this team has scored, in the time that this team hasn't scored a point in the postseason, and their conference hasn't scored a point in the postseason. In that meantime, these guys have won 2 national championships, and they're ranked ahead of them.
With that logic at all.
That's what's wrong with the polls. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
BC versus Clemson. Are you saying that Clemson's rolling now?
I'm taking BC plus the 34.
So am I. It's 34 points. BC, it took North Carolina State last week. But I still think Adasio's job is over after this year at BC.
I like the way BC's playing. I think they're headed towards the Pinstripe Bowl. You got UCLA taking on Arizona State. UCLA 2-5 on the season after coming off the big win over Stanford. Arizona State 5-2 coming off of really, I think it was the worst offensive performance by an Arizona State team. They said it's the first time an Arizona State team hasn't scored 10 points or more in 15 years. It was the first time. 21-3 losers at Utah. The weird thing about that game, they were getting 16. It was a late turnover in the game that pushed them outside the number. It was way late in the game. They scored with 5:24 left. Utah did to cover.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
Oh, God, I don't like this game at all. I mean, UCLA, again, coming off the Stanford win. Now, I watched a bunch of that game, and UCLA doesn't look terrible. They have they have good athletes, and obviously Stanford's having a down year. And UCLA, I mean, early in the year, their defense, they gave up a ton of points, and then in that one big ridiculous, 64 or 62 game, something nonsense like that. So Arizona State's going to rebound, I think, offensively. I'll take Arizona State here.
I like Arizona State as well. We've got a few games left. We're running a little short on time. We got 2 more games that we're going to go over. Utah minus 21.5 against the Cal Golden Bears. Opened at 17.5, moved to 21.5 with 52% on Cal, too. So inverse line movement, big inverse line movement on a small differential in the wagers, though.
I like Utah at home here. Not even close.
You're going Utah minus 21.5 points. I'm going to take Cal. That's way too much for me. I think sometimes when we see big line movements like this, I think maybe at 18 and 19 and 20, it's bettable, and even at 20.5. But when you start getting into that 21.5, now you got to go on the other side. And if you got it early with Utah minus 17.5, take Cal at the plus 21.5, you could probably catch a middle there on this thing. I think this is, when you have these big line moves, you can catch a middle and hit both sides.
I think Utah's just that much better than Cal. Cal's their wheels are falling off.
Well,
I like them early.
Their defense first. So let's go to the nightcap. The Oregon Ducks, 14-point favorites over Washington State. I've been saying it all along for several weeks now. Oregon wins out, I think they're in the playoff. They have one loss. It's to Auburn. It was opening day, and at least they had the guts to show up for an Auburn game on a neutral site. And I think that alone is gonna get them in, because if it doesn't get them in, if they run the table and they don't get in, and another one-loss team gets in ahead of them, what everyone is going to say is not. I mean, it's not. I mean, the Pac-12 has the Pac-12 network, so they have no defense on that. But what they can say in this one is that what they will say is that why would we schedule an out-of-conference game against Auburn when we could have played South Alabama like Alabama does? Alabama plays in an opening game like that every single year too. But this year they drew Duke in that game, so
Right.
Hardly the Oregon-Auburn game that we saw, which was really one of the best games of the season so far. And the Ducks, 14-point favorites. Washington State, not quite the same Wazoo team that we've seen in recent years.
Love Oregon here. 14, man. They're home. They got a lot to play for. They looked good last week. Your boy Mario, the coach, really fiery type of good coach, offensive guy. Herbert. All things are going Oregon. I like Oregon here.
I like the Ducks in this one as well. All right, so we'll just recap everything. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with our NFL show. It's going to be a little quicker than this. There's 15 NFL games this week. Steve took SMU. I took the over in that game. We both took USC. We both took Oklahoma. Steve took Ohio State. I took Wisconsin in the points. I might change my mind on Saturday. We'll see on Enjoyment Saturday. Saturday shows we're starting at 10:30 a.m. these days. They say 11, but it's actually 10:30 on Saturdays. So subscribe to the channel. Steve took Mississippi State, and I took the under in this one against Texas A&M. Both took Iowa. We both took Liberty against Rutgers. Steve took Pitt. I took Miami. I talked myself into it. I hyped myself up on the Canes. Not that hard to do. We both took Iowa State. Steve likes Texas. I love TCU.
I love Texas.
We both took Auburn with the points. We both took Minnesota. Steve took Michigan State in the land-grant game. I took Penn State to bounce. We both took Florida State. We both took Nebraska. Steve took Virginia. I took Louisville. I like that 3.5. We both took Duke. We both took South Carolina in that weird line against Tennessee. Steve took UCF. I took Temple. We both took Kansas, and I took the over 64.5 in that. Alabama, we both took. I don't love that game. Steve took Kentucky. They've been great at home. Missouri's been terrible on the road. I took Missouri. I think they get off the schneid. Steve loves Notre Dame. I love Michigan, and it's rare that I say that. So people will say "Oh, you never take the Patriots. You never take the Red Sox. You never take the Cubs." It's all right, I don't ever take those teams. I know that.
You're spelling a lot of myths since you and I have been appearing.
No, I do take these teams. Just because I take them, it doesn't mean I like them. It's see, people they misinterpret because I express my disgust for those teams, often. So people mistake it saying that I would never take them, but I do all the time. It's it's not all the time. I take them situationally. I'm not laying minus 280 with Chris Sale when the guy can't throw the ball to the plate anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I'm not laying 240 with David Price either. Not with my money. It's an insult. With your money, it's probably worth a play. With my money, it's an insult. Steve likes Notre Dame. I like Michigan. Boston College for both of us. I like Penn State. And I like, who is this?
No, I had Penn State, not Michigan State, for the record.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you got me wrong.
We both took Arizona State, and then I took, and then I took Cal against Utah. Steve took Utah, and then we both have Oregon. So that wraps it up. This is Mitch. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. Always appreciate it.
And Danny D-Rock Mahaffey says, I'm a Clemson fan. That was so well laid out and said. That's all you got to say. This is what you say. 46-14 It's really not. I mean, this is not that difficult. And the same thing. Let's look at that Ohio State Clemson score because I remember that the Clemson band actually
It was ugly.
They put the score on the. They formed the score on the field for against a random opponent, which makes it even better, right? 31-0. They put 31-0 on the middle of the field. The band did against a random opponent, like the year later. So those Ohio State fans were whooping so much. Anyways, this is a college football show. We did basketball this morning. So if you go back and rewatch the our morning show that we do every day at 11 a.m. I cover all the day's games every day at 11 a.m. Saturdays are at 10:30 because it just runs long. And then, of course, Steve and I do Wednesday, college football, Thursday, NFL football, Friday, football free-for-all at 4 p.m. Eastern, but we're thinking about moving the time. We'll figure something out. This is Mitch and Steve.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to
Thanks,
check out
Alex.
pickdogs.com. I got 9% battery left on my computer.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.